All right. So our coaching success blueprint, let's get into it. So why do you actually want to create a blueprint that's going to lead to a coaching success? Sometimes what happens is that if we don't make these strategic decisions in the early days of our business, if we don't decide how we're going to work from a practical point of view, a tactical point of view, but also all of those ingredients. Who are we going to work with? Who are we going to serve? What is the transformation? What tools do we use in our coaching practice? How are we going to establish credibility? How are we going to make money in our coaching practice? Then it means that we're playing catch up. So taking the time to actually create your blueprint, which is what we're going to be doing over this workshop series, is really key because it enables you to have those decisions already made, so that you can just refer back to them and you've got a real direction and a purpose and a foundation for moving forward. The thing is that you can also stop second guessing yourself. Who does that? Whoever second guesses themselves about their direction or their offer? Yeah. So you take the time now to invest and make those decisions, and then you're not going to second guess what it is that you're actually doing in your coaching practice. It also means that once you've done this work, you can stop going off into rabbit holes or, chasing shiny objects or comparing yourself with other people, because you very firmly know where you sit, where you are, and where you're going with your coaching business. And that can help you to avoid any of those distractions that may pop up for you from time to time. And you're also going to be able to step into that CEO mindset. Now, there are two mindsets that we need to have when it comes to running a coaching business. And the first one is our coaching mindset, right? We need the mindset of a coach. I'm going to focus on that in our fifth workshop, really helping you to harness that, develop it, but also the CEO mindset, because you are actually running a business to make money, right? To have an impact and to make money. So the first thing that we're going to start to look at really is we're going to start to build out your coaching vision and your foundations for that. Now, one of the things that, if you've been in one of my programs, that I always tell my students is that over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to give you the entire recipe in the same way that if I was sharing it with my world famous chocolate brownie recipe, I would give you all the ingredients. I would give you the instructions of how to put it all together. But the thing is, I can't make those brownies for you. So what I'm going to be doing is every workshop, I'll be giving you the ingredients. I'll be giving you some exercises and some reflections to do so that you can step by step follow the process to, at the end of it, having your coaching success blueprint. And that's really exciting. I love it when we take action and we're able then to see the tangible result at the end of that action. And that's really what you're going to have at the end of all of these sessions. So we're going to be focusing on, I'm just going to turn my fan on. We're going to focus on, first of all, your coaching vision and foundations so that you really have that solid base from which to move forward. And I think this is one of the areas that a lot of people, when they're starting their coaching business or when they're scaling and growing their coaching business or pivoting in another direction, they miss this step. And it's really important that you do take the time to really think about what is your vision, what is your purpose, what are your strengths, what are your areas, your unique attributes that you actually bring to your coaching clients, to your coaching work and your coaching practice. Then we're going to move on and we're going to start to look at your credibility as a coach, because the reality is that anyone can call themselves a coach these days, and without any training, without any sort of certification, knowledge, tools, what have you. And I think really one of the things that we know creates a sustainable, profitable practice is having that credibility. And by credibility, I mean being able to actually deliver what you promise when your clients hire you. So if your clients are hiring you to achieve a transformation, I want to make sure that you know exactly how you're going to help them to get there, right? And one of the things that builds our credibility is being able to help our clients get results, because when that happens, we get testimonials, we get feedback, we get people saying, in social media groups, online, referring people saying, oh, if you want to work with your money mindset, for example, go to Michelle, right? So what we want to do is to build that reputation, build that credibility, and really be able to stand out in the sea of coaches so that people recognize us as the person who has the level of expertise and skill to actually deliver, and not just really great marketing. Okay. A lot of coaches have wonderful marketing, but when it comes to actually then working with their clients, they're not quite sure what to do. They're like, whoosh, I've got a client. What am I going to do now? They've been attracted by my social media presence. They've, really liked my branding. They've liked my marketing and my message, but actually I don't really know what to do next. Now, the next one, of course, is if we want to have a business as a coach and a thriving, profitable business, we need to be able to make money. And so in our third workshop, we're really going to look at the different ways that you can make money in your coaching practice. And we'll start to explore the types of offers that you can have. We'll start to explore the concept of profitability. And here's another thing. So many coaches, we go into coaching because we want to make an impact. We want to help people. And what we need to, when we do that, we love it so much. Sometimes we say we do it for free. It's not a business, it's a hobby if you are doing it in that way. And so I really want to take you through some of the key things that you're going to need to have in place in order to be able to generate the level of revenue and profitability that you want to generate in order to have that sustainable business and have that predictable monthly income, annual income that you can grow and scale as you develop through your coaching practice. And I know that for many coaches, you start with doing it on the side as a side business. Some people still work full time and you're growing your coaching practice. Others will work part-time, doing some kind of, consultancy or in a part-time role as that business grows and develops. So we really want to have a look at that and understand all the finances that are involved in building that coaching practice, and then also how to make sure that you are actually generating that revenue. The fourth workshop, we're going to focus on your coaching toolkit. Now, what I want to do here with you is I want to really help you to know exactly what tools you need, what tools you have, and how you can bring them together to create those coaching packages that do deliver on that transformation. So we're going to do some work around, and when I say we're going to do the work, I'm going to give you the guidance, and I've got workbooks for you to follow so that you can bring in all of those elements. We all have different backgrounds in different modalities. Some of us have backgrounds that include therapeutic modalities, maybe like hypnotherapy or EFT or timeline therapy, and other different types of more therapeutic modalities. Some of us have come from consulting backgrounds where we're actually helping our clients to follow a process, to make a change, to improve something in some way by following the steps that we know will help them to succeed. And of course, there is a distinct difference between coaching, therapy, and consulting, and also mentoring, which is another role that some of you may have played. And what we're going to do is we're not going to discount any of those roles. What we're going to say is, how can we build those into your coaching practice, your coaching offers, and the work that you do with your coaching toolkit so that you can actually develop those offers that do reliably and consistently help your clients to achieve the results that they come to you for. And then finally, we're going to look at your coaching mindset. And this is really turning inward a little bit and starting to think about what are the things that you need to develop in terms of your own identity, your own belief system, your values, your behaviors and habits that will really help you to be incredibly effective as a coach, that will keep you grounded, that will enable you to continue to hold space and hold energy for your clients in a way that means that they are going to get results, and also in a way that you feel like you are not out of balance, you're not getting burnt out, you're not working to the point of exhaustion. You're actually able to work with clients in, a highly empathic way, in a highly powerful way, in a highly transformational way, but then you've still actually got time for yourself. And we're also going to look a little bit about your beliefs about your clients as well as we go through this process, and what you need to believe about your clients in order for them to succeed. How does that sound so far, guys, in terms of the 5 workshops? Good?
Great.
Yeah, good. So we're going to start with coaching vision and foundations. And I'm actually going to, at the end of this, I'm going to pop the link for this workbook for you into the chat, and we'll also put it in the classroom in our school communities so that you can download it. Now, this is really where I want you to start thinking about what's your backstory? What's your coaching origin story? Why are you getting into coaching, or why are you in coaching? And it gives you some questions that I want you to reflect on. And these workbooks are designed as a companion for you while you are having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, maybe a glass of wine in the evening. I really want you to use these as thought-provoking prompts that you then answer the questions to, so that then piece by piece, everything's going to come together for you for your coaching vision and your foundations. It does require thought work. What I ask that you do, especially for the visions and foundations workbook, is please don't head to your favorite AI and put it in and say, tell me what these are. These I want to be wholly and solely generated by you, okay? These are your thoughts, your ideas, and really your feelings towards your coaching business, and really starting to think about what you're doing from a strategic perspective. So what you're going to do is you're going to write a little bit about your coaching backstory, and then you're going to identify your why. Now, your why is, why are you in coaching? Why are you doing what you're doing? And this comes back to our values to a certain extent. And what understanding your why does is it really provides a direction and a purpose. And this is essential because remember I talked earlier about comparisonitis and the shiny object syndrome. If we're always looking outside of ourselves and our business and comparing ourselves or looking for, what else I could be doing, then it detracts from our time and our energy. And what we want to do is make sure that we understand what is our purpose, what is the direction that we actually want to go in, that we want to take our coaching business in. Why does it exist? What's our overarching statement that is about the purpose and the vision for our business? The other thing is that if you really know your why, it really enhances your authenticity and your connection. Because if we always communicate online or however we're communicating, whether that's by email, by maybe it's, in-person networking events, if we always have what is the vision, what's the purpose of our business top of mind, then we're communicating in a way that's really consistent and really authentic. And people can tell when you're genuine and you're really speaking from the heart with passion about why you're doing what you're doing and why it is the impact that you want to make and help make with your clients. And so we take our time, and there's some questions in each section for you to answer around this. And the other thing is that, it would be wonderful, wouldn't it, if our progression in business was a straight vertical trajectory upwards, right? But it's not like that. We've seen that before. It can go up and down. It can go around about. But what it does is it means that we're not going to lose motivation as quickly. When we actually can reorientate ourselves towards why is it that we're doing what we're doing, then it helps us to overcome any of those challenges that may arise. It helps us to bolster ourselves on those days when we think, oh, this is hard, or I don't feel like doing this today, or I'm not sure of my direction. Then we can reorient ourselves. And this is a document that you're going to have that you're going to be able to come back to and just refresh your memory as to why you're doing what you're doing. The next thing is I want you to start to look at your coaching philosophy. So your coaching philosophy is something that is personal to you, but it shapes exactly the way that you work and you interact with your clients. So this is going to be helping you to then guide your approach and your decision making. So your coaching philosophy will actually influence and inform the type of packages and services that you offer, right? That it's going to inform what you do in your business and what you don't do in your business. It's going to inform your communication and your marketing. What do you talk about? What don't you talk about? It also differentiates you in the marketplace. These are your beliefs about coaching, right? They're your guiding principles, and there's something that you can communicate about on social media, in blogs, on podcasts, on YouTube, wherever it is that you're going to be out there in the world. And people will come to know you, not just for the content things that you use in your social media, but they're also going to know you for the philosophy that you have. And the philosophy, oftentimes we can distill down into a series of guiding principles, but also we can distill it into a short sentence that becomes almost like our tagline. And that is what that's what will kind of bring, you can come back to all the time, kind of like your North Star, along with your purpose, this is what you're coming back to. It also creates coherence in your practice. So when I talk about coherence in your practice, once you know your niche, your ideal client, what we want to be doing when we're creating our content, what we want to be doing when we're creating our packages, is we want to be making sure that everyone understands what it is that we're actually doing, and everything makes sense. Everything that you do makes sense in terms of what you're offering out there in the world. Okay. So, for example, for me, as a coach trainer, the majority of my work is split between training coaches, certifying coaches, and coaching, right? And who do I coach? Mostly I coach coaches, I coach CEOs as well, but mostly I'm coaching coaches. So there's a real coherence here. If I was to say, suddenly launch a brownie making for beginners class on my website, that's an extreme example, but it's an example of something that sits outside where my area of kind of expertise lies. So you want to make sure that they do have coherence in the tools and their philosophies that flow through. It also facilitates client matching and expectations. So clients come to you because your content, your philosophy is resonating throughout. They're attracted to you because they know that that's what you believe in and that's what your coaching practice offers. This is why we really do want to focus on our niche as well and our ideal client, because we want to be a specialist rather than a generalist in our field. And we want clients to know exactly what our overarching philosophy is and that they're attracted to that, they're a match to that. And that's great, because what it also means is that those potential clients who aren't a match for what you're doing, what you're offering in your philosophy, are going to fall away. They'll find another coach, and that's great. Okay. So, for example, as a mindset coach, some of your overarching philosophies could be that you believe in that it's important to coach, not just at and work with your clients, not just at the conscious level, but at the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious level, because that's where all behavior, learning, and change reside. Okay. Now I'm going to be in our groups answering your questions as you go through. I just want to make that clear too, that for every workbook that you're completing, you can come through and you can ask me questions, and I can give you a hand, absolutely, and on our live sessions as well. And then it also supports your own professional development. So say, for example, if you do have a real interest in a certain modality or in a certain, you want to dive more deeply, for example, into somatic coaching, then you would say, okay, well, my next step in my professional development is I want to become certified or do a course or read more books about somatic coaching and the role of somatics and the vagus nerve and the nervous system and all of those things when it comes to coaching and my clients. The next thing I want you to do is to, from that, establish your coaching principles. Now, typically you'll have 3 to 5 coaching principles, and I've just given an example here. So I believe in meeting clients where they are, not where I wish they were. Okay, that's really important. For those of you in the Coaches Success Society, we've got a whole module on client readiness for your coaching and how to get them ready. And that's a great one to check out. I commit to creating a space of psychological safety where authentic exploration can happen. And I always prioritize the client's agenda over my own. Now, this is really important when it comes to questioning as a coach. Is sometimes we really want to ask a question, but we need to ask ourselves, is that for my own curiosity? Am I leading the client somewhere? Am I trying to ask them the question where I really want to tell them what I think they need to be doing next? which of course isn't coaching. And so it's making sure that we're really prioritizing that. So these will be specific to you. And again, there's space in the workbook for you to complete those. The next thing is in this workbook that I'd like you to consider is what are your strengths and where's your learning edge? So where do you excel as a coach? Where are the things that you know you've gotten feedback on? And they could be your character strengths, your skills, things that people have told you, feedback from your testimonials. Maybe your own coach or a mentor has given you feedback about where you excel. And really take time to think about that. And this is one, like all of them, that you can come back to time and again and really start to, get clear on what your strengths are, okay? And then we also want to think about what's your learning edge. So what aspects of coaching currently challenge you, okay? That may be, for example, that you get challenged when a client oversteps boundaries or when they haven't completed tasking in between sessions, or maybe you feel like you don't know the next best question to ask. Then think about what skills and capabilities you'd like to develop further. What areas of feedback have you received for your growth? And how will you continue your development as a coach? And again, that could be further education. It could be reading books. It could be listening to podcasts. There's lots of different things that can fall into those buckets. But having that understanding of where you are now in terms of your coaching capability and your strengths, really solid foundation then that will lead into your coaching vision. Oops, I've gone backwards. There we go. Okay, now I've just got the same one twice. There we go. Now what I'd like you to do, and the next thing is to take time to define your niche. And this is where a lot of coaches I find can resist, because we want to coach all the people. We want to help everyone. Does anyone know what the population of the planet is? It's huge. Even the population of the people in your niche is going to be huge. So we really want to start to think about who do you work with, the outcomes you help your clients achieve, and we want to get super specific about those. And I know a lot of you will have already done some kind of niche finding or niche deciding work. Take the time on this, bounce ideas back and forth in the groups. Here's some examples, right? And I want you to see if you can spot the difference. Dating coach for single women, when we refine that, becomes dating coach for single mothers over 40. Business coach for women in business becomes business coach for accountancy business owners with 4 to 10 employees. Or a health coach for men becomes a health coach for overweight male CEOs with dyslexia, maybe, the way that I've spelled those words. What's the difference in those between the first statement and the second statement? What do you notice?
They're very precise.
Yes, they're really precise. What else does that enable us to do then, if they're precise?
It helps with your marketing messages.
Yes, absolutely. It's much more specific. And it does help with marketing. And the thing is, dating as a single mother, dating is going to be different than a 28-year-old woman, right? Very different. It's a different set of circumstances. So we can plug in and tune in to the specifics of exactly what our client is experiencing, the challenges, what do they need from us. A lot of people will come to me and they say, I work with overwhelmed mothers, or I work with overwhelmed people, or I work with overwhelmed women. And I say, if you stood in a room of 100 people and said, hands up, who's overwhelmed, my guess would be 99 or 100 are going to have their hand up, right? It's all for different reasons. It's the same as, are you feeling stuck? Do you want clarity? Yes, yes, and yes. Right? And so what we want to do is we want to get really specific about what is exactly going on. And when you do refine your market, you also start to become very adept and expert in that market. And you're able to collect a lot more data about your clients, which then informs what sort of packages and offers are you going to create that are going to have real meaning for your client. And so the step from defining your niche is to define your ideal client, get really clear, because that enhances your overall effectiveness. right? If I'm a general practitioner in a medical practice, I can see everything from bunions to influenza to gastroenteritis to migraines in a day, right? And lots in between. But if I'm a coach who is a dating coach for single women, single mothers over 40, then what I'm doing is I'm really honing my expertise in that area. And because I'm more expert, I'm increasing my effectiveness. When I increase my effectiveness, my results improve, right? Every single time. And when my results improve, my credibility increases. When my credibility increases, I get more clients, get more testimonials. And as you said, it improves marketing efficiency. You're more fulfilled because you've really dialed into who are the people that I really want to work with? Who are the people that I want to help? And this too, I stress this so strongly. When you're thinking about who you want to work with, really consider who do you enjoy working with. So if you're already coaching, I want you to think about those clients that you've worked with that have been an absolute pleasure and a joy to work with, and write down why. Is it because they come to every session prepared? Is it because they're willing to do new things, to take action? What is it about them? Is it they're open and enthusiastic? What is it about them that when you sit opposite them on Zoom or you're in a room with them coaching live, what is it that they have that makes them ideal for you? And then that can become your ideal client avatar or one of your ideal client avatars. Because it makes sense, right? We want to go to work and we want to enjoy working with the people we work with. Okay. So start to think about that as well. It also builds a stronger reputation because you become known in that area as the go-to person. And it also reduces the risk of burnout. Your brain isn't having to, think, oh, it's different here and different there and different somewhere else. What's happening is you're enjoying your work. You're becoming more and more adept at it, more and more effective at it. It becomes easier. You become more confident. And because you become more confident and you're working with more clients, you become more competent. And it's this beautiful loop of ongoing development that protects you from burnout, as well as other strategies, right? Like establishing and maintaining your boundaries as a coach. We're going to get into that with our coaching mindset. So I'll take questions in a minute. I'm just going to tell you the next step. So you're going to get a workbook. I'm going to pop that into the group in school. I want you to complete all the exercises and the reflections, share your vision in our school community. And if you want to, you can also share it on social media, right? Reintroduce yourself by sharing your vision, and you can tag us as well on Instagram at Mindset Coach Academy. Ask questions in school and on our next live call. So if you have got questions in between, if you want some help, then please do reach out. And come to the next session, which is building your credibility as a coach, and invite a friend to join us as well. And also go into the group and say that you've been on this, you're doing this, and you recommend that everyone comes along and does it too, because it's so beneficial. These exercises are great. And I know sometimes what happens is we come along and we think, oh, that sounds really good. And then what happens? You go on to the next thing and you forget about it. I want you to do the work, right? Straight after this even, just spend time on it. 10, 15 minutes, get yourself started. You can also ask for an accountability buddy in the group as well, right? Who wants to work on this with me? Like, who wants to bounce around ideas? So are there any questions about this first phase, which is coaching foundations and creating your coaching vision? Are there any questions so far? Any comments? Yes, great.
I do have a vision.
Yes.
So I've created a 12-week program called Impactful Leadership. And the niche is private healthcare clinics. I'm in the UK.
Yes.
Because the NHS is hard to get into, so you have to do tenders and everything. So being a micro business is just not tenable.
Mm-hmm.
But I've worked in the past in the healthcare. So a bit of giving you a bit of context. I closed my consultancy business in December because I wasn't enjoying it anymore. It was stressful and it was making me miserable. And I'm at an age where I don't want to be miserable. So I'm doing what I love, which is coaching and mentoring. And I've created a 12-week program from all my modalities that I do, which is I'm an NLP master practitioner and MBIT master coach. And I'm also a ILM7 accredited executive coach and mentor.
Yeah.
So everything I've learned through that and my lived experience is
Yes.
brought into that
Yes.
program that I've created.
Yeah. Brilliant. Good. So then,
So
sorry, you go.
yeah, so my question was, so the way I'm thinking is I'll do a masterclass that introduces them to the concepts of my 12-week program and then do an upsell to the 12-week program. The masterclass, I'm doing it as on demand, so they can just pay for it and do it at their pace. The 12-week, they would have to work with me, and I'll do it 3 or 4 times a year. Then in between that, I'm also a goal mapping coach and facilitator, so I would do my goal mapping workshops. So that's how I see my coaching and mentoring business working.
Yeah, sure. So so you're going to run a free, not a free masterclass. I just heard you said they pay for it. Can you tell me the topic of the masterclass and then what the cost is?
Yeah, so it's an introduction. I'm going to do like 3 of the areas. I've picked out 3 areas from my 12-week course, but obviously do it in less depth, just to give it as an introduction for those who don't know me. So that's what I'm thinking of doing.
What's the title of the masterclass?
Yeah, I thought I'd keep it the same. So I'm still playing around with titles because I started with mindful leadership, but a lot of people don't understand mindfulness. So I was journaling on this, and the word that came out was impactful leader or impactful leadership. I think they would get that. So that's what I'm sort of thinking about at the moment.
So the one thing is that you really need to think about what is going to drive someone to want to do a paid workshop on impactful leadership? What does that mean? How will it shift their leadership? How will it benefit them? And making that really, really clear. Because the other thing too is that if you're doing it as an evergreen where it's pre-recorded, then it's making sure that you have whatever the order bump is up to your 12 12 week, was it 12-week program? Is your 12-week program a live program or is it an evergreen self-paced?
No, that's live with me. Yeah.
So one of the things that I've found personally is that if you're going to sell a self-paced container into a self-paced container, then that works, right? Because people are used to, that's the format they consume first, and then that's the continuation. If you're going to be running something live, it may be worthwhile running something as a live workshop, and then people can have the replay afterwards, because what you're saying is go from this live container into that live container.
Okay.
And if you can do something in that workshop that gets people interacting, and it could be something as simple as, this workshop is all about impactful leadership. What does impactful leadership mean to you? Get them engaged right from the get-go, right? So that they are interacting. And I know there's considerations of time and things like that, but maybe this workshop could be something that you run once a month, recurring, to get people into your offer. And then you want to think about the cadence as well of how often are you running your 12-week program, and then match that up. So there's lots to think about there for sure. I would definitely work on your vision as well and your niche and how you're going to call those people out, what are their pain points, etc. So
Yeah.
So my question to you is the flow of, so you coach, right? So you coach coaches and CEOs. What would be like, what flow do you use from that first call to, it's not so much like the masterclass, which is what I'm working with, but when you got a client like this, what is like the first 2 couple steps that you need to do before you even bring in the offer? because the offers that I'm looking at now is, okay, here's the mindset dimensions assessment.
Mhm.
It can be a standalone, a cost, for example. Here's my hourly rate. Here's my half-day rate and a full-day rate.
Yeah.
This is from me, from what I've done so far,
Yeah.
but I want to hear your thoughts because you're Lara.
Okay, sure. So first of all, can I just clarify? So first of all, congratulations. So these two clients, they've booked discovery calls with you or they've signed up with you?
They booked, well, discovery calls, but they want to work with me after they've checked out my LinkedIn profile and they saw testimonials from these executives that I've worked with.
Okay.
So
what's the intention of these first calls? Is it your first coaching session with them, or is it just to have a conversation about what it is that they want and have they paid you?
because my client said to them, oh my God, you have to meet Ines. She's a performance coach. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I can see that. But it's a performance coach, right? So to me, from the little chatter that we had, it's all like on a personal level, relationships, when you come home, when you disconnect from that,
Yeah.
model where you're constantly performing, doing really well financially, they're missing that authenticity and energetic flow where they can just thrive and really enjoy everything that they have. So I know they'll work with me. I know, because once I have them in front of me, I'll figure out what it is that they need.
Yeah.
But what is that strategic, like 1, 2, 3 steps so that I don't talk like this and, because I want to do it all, because I know I can, but then I end up just burned out. The whole point of coaching is not to do what you just presented, like the burnout part.
Yeah. So one of the things that I would advise is to do before you get on the call with them, I would actually have a mini Google form, and I can post some questions and things, but I would actually ask them, what brings them to coaching? What outcome are they looking for, right? What do they want to achieve through the coaching experience? How much of a priority is it? And is there anything else that you need to know before you go onto that call with them, right? So that you've got a general idea. Because sometimes you're right, what will happen is clients can be so relieved to see us that they just tell us everything. And we're like, hang on, let's just work out exactly what it is that we're going to be working with in this context, right? So by understanding that, then on this call, you can have a discussion about what's the outcome they want. Okay. Now the outcome can be something to do with a goal that they want to achieve or a problem that they want to solve. Okay. So something's happening in their life that they don't want to be happening anymore. And so all you're going to do in this session is you're going to listen, read what they've written, but listen to what that is, right? And once you've listened, then what you can do is you can say, here's how I can help you. Right?
Okay.
Here's how I can help you. And if you want to, you can go away and you can get back in touch with me and say, okay, I'm going to send you through a couple of options for working with me. I'd like to think about the best approach that's going to give you what you need. I'm going to come back to you via email with a couple of options. If you know then and they're on the call, because you haven't got your packages together yet, right? So if you know then and they're on the call, you can talk to them. But really it's based on their outcome. And so the work that you're going to need to start to do is to look at, if this is the transformation for my client and the outcome, where are they starting and what is everything that needs to happen for them to get to that point, right, where they've solved the problem or achieved the goal. And we work backwards and we work forwards from that. We're integrating everything that you've got into it, right? So I also feel like a priority for you is to start to think about, that outcome in the context of all of the other things other tools and modalities that you're using. And then how do I help my clients to reliably, consistently move through in a way that is going to get them to the outcome that they are? And this is for everyone. One mistake a lot of people make is they have hour-long discovery calls. And I used to do that, right? Hour-long discovery call. What would happen in those calls? One of two things. The first thing is that people would have their problem solved, so they don't need to hire a coach, right? They'd solve their problem, or they would become overwhelmed, right? Because as you start to unpack the problem on a discovery call, people can become overwhelmed. And so you want to make sure that when you are doing those things, that it is 15 to 20 minutes. And a discovery call, the purpose of a discovery call is really to check the chemistry, check your understanding of the problem, right? Do I understand, or the outcome? What is it that you want? What do you want to gain by coming to coaching? Let your client decide that, right? And then what's the chemistry? Is there chemistry, right? Is there rapport? And that's it. And you know, you make the offer. Based on what we've talked about today, here's an option, or here's two options for you. I'm going to send them through by email as well. Some people will say, yep, I want to go ahead. You say, great, I'll send you a payment link, or you can take the payment then and there. But really, it's about making sure that you've got those systems and structures in the backhand. And what I also want you to know is that get technology to do some of the heavy lifting. And by that I mean, on Calendly, for example, when someone books in for a call with me, I ask them questions, right? And those questions are designed to get them to complete a task, follow instructions, right? Give me information so that I've got that ahead of time, so that going into the call, I'm aware of why they're wanting to book a call in the first place, yeah? And it also gets them thinking about what is it that they actually want, so that that conversation can be shorter and neater and, and constructive. And if, for example, if a client or a prospective client or student doesn't fill in that form and they say, I'll talk about it on the call, you write back and say, please complete this information before our call. It's really important that I have that as a foundation for our discussion. Here's the reschedule link, or whatever you need to do. Because the reality is that you want clients, when we think back to our guiding principles, right? You want clients who are invested. Our ideal clients want to give you the information that you need because they want a result. They want to achieve an outcome. So, yeah. And the more you know about your client going into that conversation, the more effective you can be in your detective work, working out what it is that could or would be beneficial for them in terms of your services, and also whether or not, you might want to refer them to someone else, right? It may not be in their wheelhouse. So, yeah. And then when we go into our early coaching sessions, the first sessions are really focused around one of two things: either understanding the goal, what is the outcome, or understanding the problem, right? And we've got tools for that in our other programs. But we want to get that really solid foundation of what's going on for you now, and then we gradually break it down. And we look at all those elements that are in mindset dimensions, right? So you can intersperse those in. So hopefully that's helpful, Ines.
Thank you. Thank you.
One other thing I would say too is ask them, how much time do they want to dedicate to it? Because it's having someone say, I really want to do coaching, but I've got 20 minutes on a Thursday afternoon between this time and this time. It may not be the right vehicle for them. It may be that they want Voxer support, or someone else may need appreciate an intensive VIP half day to get started. And then, yeah.
So I think it's a good option to have. I mean, you wouldn't lead with this, but it's a good option to have 3 different packages, like based on the hourly rate, half day, or do we just simplify it and go, this is my program, this is how long it is, whatever, it's like 12 weeks, 3 months, 6, whatever. In terms of packaging, we just keep it consistent, and if they want to work on something, it might be shorter or longer, or is it better to have different options depending on their time, how much time they can invest?
It's better to have, see, we're talking about two different things. One is the packages, you have it as a package. I highly advise not to charge an hourly rate. You charge for the outcome, right? And the way that you decide your packages is you don't just say, oh, I want to do a 6-week, a 12-week, and a 24-week package. You say, how long, from my knowledge and expertise, how much time and input does a client need in order to go from A to B? No, it's 6 weeks, right? Or it's 12 weeks, or it's, whatever. Or maybe it's they really benefit from some intensive sessions at the start of the coaching relationship. So every week it's 2 hours for the first 4 weeks, and then it drops back to fortnightly for an hour, right? So that's the work that we do, because that's really where we want to get to. So rather than doing it, what would I do if I had 12 weeks? We say, how long does it take? What can you do? What can a client achieve in that time frame, right? And then in terms of time they've got available, what I mean by that is it's not helpful to say to a client, I have a package which is 2 hours a week for 12 weeks, and they're like, well, I just don't have time. Like, where's my? So we do have options. Like, we do create options in advance, and typically we have 3 different package options. Because 2, it's either or, it's a dilemma. Which one should I do? 1 is no choice at all. We can make a recommendation, of course, based on what we're talking about. I'd recommend this. We never recommend something that a client doesn't need. That's the other thing too, right? Because that builds trust. If they only need this bit and you don't need to do, that. The other thing you can do too is you say, what I recommend is that we start with this package, which is really designed to discover what it is that you really want and what's getting in your way. I recommend we start with that. And then as we uncover things and we work together, you may find that you want to move into this different area. Yeah.
That makes the most sense. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No worries at all. I know that Michelle had a comment in here. Thanks for the heads up with the questions in Calendly. Yeah. Is that what you're using at the moment, Michelle? Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use Calendly, but I do email them a questionnaire.
Mm.
So I like that idea of popping it in as they're booking the appointments. They can, and then I'm not, I don't proceed with the discovery call unless they've given me that backstory.
Yes.
So I like that. It feels a bit more efficient.
Mm. It's efficient, and it also helps to weed people out, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, because if I can't even be bothered to spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes, then how invested am I in the change?
That's right. I've let a client go recently because they just weren't committed and wouldn't provide information, kept rescheduling sessions, and so if I had been able to weed her out of that front bed and just say, well, I can't book an appointment for you until you do this pre-work, it would have saved a lot of wasted time and expectation that client was going to convert.
Yeah. And it is interesting, isn't it? Because we think, you do want someone, and this is about our boundaries, right? And thinking about what are my boundaries, like how short a time before our scheduled call can someone actually reschedule or cancel, right? Before they lose the session. Making those really clear at the start, making it really clear at the start about, if you haven't done the task in between, you'll need to reschedule, or you'll need to touch base with me in between if you're unsure about what you're doing. And that's really important too, because it may just be that it wasn't the right time for that client, or maybe your questions even opened up a can of worms that they weren't even prepared to admit to themselves, right? They weren't ready to go as deep. Sometimes people think, oh, it's just going to be something along the surface and I can be, working at that level. So.
I do suspect that's actually what happened. just from the and she's been really good. Like at first she was hiding behind email whenever she would reschedule things, but then the last appointment she physically rang me and she said, "Thank you so much. Like I really appreciate you being understanding." And then was talking in terms of it being in 2 years' time she'd be ready. And I said, "Well, that's totally fine. It's just not the right time for you now. Like, you know where I am. Come back to me when you're ready." Because like you said, I'd rather just free up that space for someone who is ready and is excited to be working together rather than going, "Oh, I think I am. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not." You know, so yeah.
And
So
maybe
that's good. Thank you.
because it can bring up things, right? And it can impact our nervous system as well. So maybe one of the things, because you've got hypnotherapy too, maybe one of the things that you could do as an offboarding sort of gift is to say, "I'd really love to, thank you. I'd really love to share this with you," which is around, self-acceptance or self-love around money or something like that. Whatever you know from your experience is going to be beneficial. It's kind of like no strings attached or anything, but I'd love you to have this because I think this will help. Because that is an example of a great example of where that can happen. People may not be ready.
Yeah. I really love that idea of giving us something like that, Lara, because I really believe for every person that reaches out to me, because I do the one-on-one work, sometimes I believe it takes a lot for each person to even reach out to me and to be vocal. So like it takes a lot of courage for them to even do that. So to give them something like that and just say, "Hey, like I realize the timing's not quite good right now, but I'd really love you to take this and I hope that helps you on your journey." Like, I think giving them a gift like that makes them realize the gate's still open, and it's just helps them with their courage to when they're ready to come back and work with me. So thank you for that. That's a really great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And also just even in your, we do the onboarding, like an onboarding welcome letter or card or, something like that. It can also be, you can also have in that something like, "Thank you for, trusting me with this. And, I really appreciate you being vulnerable and being prepared enough to do the work," those kind of things, because it's just that reassurance as well and an acknowledgement. Because if you think about behavior too, our clients' behavior tells us a lot about where they are and their beliefs and everything. And she was hiding behind it. It was something, we know that from the fact that she was, So then, you could almost say, when you're ready to come out of hiding, when you're ready to, but sometimes we have to exit clients in a way that is calling them out, maybe not as gentle an approach, right? So, yeah. And it's all done in rapport, right? So good. All right. So we're coming up to top of the hour. Thank you so much for coming. I hope that's been a beneficial session. If you're watching the replay, please do comment. You can ask questions in the group. And do stay tuned. We've got another one of these sessions in a couple of days' time. So, yeah, pop along and we will, I look forward to seeing you all then. Fill out your workbooks. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.